down too. No! Father, please, no!
Hi, I am Jake Steve, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to can and make Gold Rush apple butter. Apple butter originated in the ancient times, supposedly. People's cooked down fruits to preserve them for hundreds of years. Apple butter is whenever you cook apples to the point where the sugar in it caramelizes. We speed up this process by adding sugar to our apple butter nowadays, but back then they just cooked the apples until the sugar in the actual apples caramelized. Apple butter is not actually made with butter or any dairy product. It is just called that because of its thick, soft consistency. You can use this as a spread on almost anything you want. I prefer toast, my favorite. Muffins are good. Apple butter pumpkin pie is quite good too if you want to use it for that. In the modern days, people generally add some sort of spice to their apple butter now, like cloves or cinnamon, sometimes ginger and nutmeg. Some other cultures we use licorice or vinegar. I prefer the spice though. For those of you that may not know, licorice is a sweet herb that is found in Europe or Asia, so if you plan on making a licorice apple butter in North America, don't bother. You won't find licorice in the store. Bit of a warning. Do not, I repeat, do not double, half, or change any of the ingredients in this recipe unless I tell you that you can. You can change the type of apple or the combination of apples if you want to use a combination of apples, but I highly suggest you stick with this recipe. It may kill you if you do not. I don't want to scare you away from canning, but it's the truth. If you cook the wrong fruit a certain amount of time, the wrong amount of time, it will produce yeast, bacteria, or mold. Not bacteria because it has high acid, and that can kill you whenever you eat your canned butter that's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months. Also, I know I may mention this later in the video, but please check the top of your apple butter before you eat it. If there's any mold, you can just scrape that off the top. It should be good to eat. But if you see mold throughout the middle, the bottom, if you see mold in the bottom especially, throw it out. It's not good anymore. I don't want to kill anyone. I'd feel bad. And with that said, let us commence with the Gold Rush apple butter tutorial. Alright, to start we'll need our water bath canner, our lid magnet, our measure thing, our jar remover, our funnel, 6 8-ounce jars. They can be jelly jars or half-pint jars, lids and bands, about 12 Gold Rush apples or 4 pounds, 4 cups of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and pumpkin chocolate chip muffins to eat during the process. Now, I will not let you modify this recipe at all. If you double it, half it, change any of the ingredients, that could affect your cook time, and you could get sick. It might not cook all the germs and such out. You can change the apples, however, to whatever type you like. Granny Smith, red apple, Fuji apple, or combination of apples. But today I'm just going to do the Gold Rush. Okay, in our water bath canner, we want to fill it with enough water to cover our jars by about 1 inch or 2 whenever we place them in there, and bring that to a rolling boil. And we want our jars, our lids, and our bands in a pot of water, just enough to cover the tops, and bring that to a simmer. No more, no less. If it's more or less, it could cause the jars not to seal, and germs and bacteria and yeast can get into your food and could get you sick. Now, we're going to go over to our apples. We're going to clean them, peel them, and slice them. I've already peeled one for you. And I like to use an apple slicer. Very convenient. You just push that on there, and it pits it for you while it slices your apple. You have nice slices, and your pit comes out clean. Just put these slices in here, crap, and do that with the rest of your apples. We have all of our apples sliced, pitted, and skinned. We're going to bring this over to 2 cups of water, Put that into a large saucepan. Crap. And we're going to bring that to simmer. Crap. Okay. We're going to cook these at a simmer until the apples get soft and they're ready to puree. If the water steams out of your pot and uncovers the tops of some of the jars, just put in some more water and cover them back up. Alright, our apples, we have occasionally stirred it throughout, and they should be able to easily be pierced with your wooden spoon. And there should be a bit of foam at the top. We're going to take it over to the sink, strain out any remaining liquid. Crap. Should be good. Now, we're going to puree. Be sure not to liquefy, just puree. Now we're going to add in our spices and our sugar to this mixture. And we are going to spoon that in there. Now that you've mixed your ingredients together, it should be almost liquid consistency. You're going to turn back on the heat and boil this and reduce it to a thick mixture. If it gets too thick, you can add a bit of water or apple juice at the end. If there's too many chunks, you can always puree it again. Let it cook a little bit, then puree it again. Once your mixture starts to boil a little, you're going to want to stir frequently to avoid it sticking to the pot and clumping together. Alright, once your mixture is enough to keep its shape a little bit, you're going to turn the heat off. If there's still a few chunks in there and you're worried about it, you can puree, but a few chunks in your butter is always nice. Now you're going to take out one of your jars. They're handy dandy jar grabber. Remove the water from inside there. Bring this here. We are going to put our funnel in. We're going to pack this to the 1/4 inch mark, which is about right there. If you have a measure, you can always measure it. Double check, but it should be fine. Now, pour our butter into our jars. This is called hot packing, by the way. Should be good. Remove the funnel. See, it's about to the 1/4 mark right there. Almost perfect. And we're going to come over here. Remove us a lid. Our magnet. And place. You might want to get a wet rag. A paper towel. And wipe off the side of the jars. Otherwise it won't seal properly. And make sure there's no blemishes on the seal or the jar. Otherwise it won't seal properly. And you might want to use a new jar. Place that in here. Get us a band that around our seal. Tight till hand tight. No tighter. One thing I did forget to mention is the air bubbles. If you do have air bubbles, you can remove them with this side of your measuring stick. But you don't need to remove the air bubbles. That's just for looks. A lot of people think that will cause germs, but you're cooking them out in your water bath canner, so there's no need to worry about germs. If this is your first time, don't worry about air bubbles. Yeah. Okay. Now that we have all these packed, we're going to carefully place them into our hot water bath. Please don't burn yourself. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that we have all of our jars into the water bath canner, I'm going to put the lid on. Let boil for 10 minutes. If you had any leftover apple butter, feel free to store it in the fridge and save it for later. Or if you boiled an extra can, you can put it in that. If you made a mess that means you did it right. If you didn't, you're either not having fun or you didn't do it right. It's been 10 minutes now, and I'm going to remove our jars from the canner. Place them, piece of wood right here. You will not do anything with these jars for 12 hours. That way the seal around the jars can set. After 12 or more hours has elapsed, here it's been 18, your grandmother will have taken a can and your mother will have opened one to cover her toast in. But I will show you with the remaining 4 jars what to do. First you unscrew the band and you test for a seal. It's popped down, you have a good seal. If you can't twist it off with your fingers, you have a good seal. Don't twist too hard. There may be some residue on the top. You just want to wipe that off with a wet paper towel. And you unscrew the band back on, and they are ready to store wherever you want to store them. They will store for years. I suggest putting labels on them. These will come with the jelly jars. I'm not sure if they come with the other jars. For opening the jars, you want to take the flat end of the can opener, just put it under there and pry it open. I won't do it right now because we already have a jar open, don't want to waste. May take some force, I'm getting used to. The reason you use the flat end is so if you want to reuse the jar, you don't scratch it. If you do have a scratch, you cannot reuse the jar. You can also reuse the band, too. If your seal did not work, and it hasn't been more than a day or 2 that you've waited for your can to check your cans, you can put them in the water bath canner again and try to reseal them. If they're not sealed after that, you have a faulty jar most likely, and you're going to have to eat that batch first. Whenever in a can, this stuff will last for hundreds of years. But whenever you open it, it's suggested you keep it in a fridge to last about 2 weeks longer. Yeah.